All right, well, believe it or not, your nightmares can actually benefit your healing, your health, and your overall wholeness and wellness.
Yeah. In her vulnerable and witty memoir, dream expert Kelly Sullivan Walden, aka Dr. Dream, explores how each of the unexpected mishaps in our waking lives can take us on a journey to self-exploration to turn the tragic into magic.
All right, Kelly's going to join us this morning with more on what it means to escape our waking nightmares. Welcome, Dr. Dream.
So good to be with you, Chris and Mary Soul. Thank you so much for having me.
Great to
Of
see you.
course.
So, what makes a nightmare valuable? Sounds like it couldn't be in any shape or form.
Right.
That's what you think, but really our mind and what we do at night, there's not a single wasted moment. So, for example, if you had an oil light come up on your car, the indicator light that told you that you were running out of oil, even if it was disturbing to see, I don't want to pull over. It's better that you know these things. So our nightmares are giving us valuable information about life changes that we need to make, the course corrections that we need to make. So it's only bad news if we don't want to change and we don't want to better our lives.
This was interesting. I did not realize this. You say nightmares are more commonly remembered than our normal dreams. Why is that?
Yes, in fact, most people think that nightmares are the most common dreams, and that's not true. We have so many other dreams. It's just that nightmares tend to really grip us. They tend to be so emotionally charged that they're just easier to remember, and they leave a lasting impression. Just like in life, I mean, most of us remember the real tragic things that happen to us and have a harder time remembering the happy times. It's just the way that the brain operates. It's coded for survival. But really, we're not only having nightmares. And we'll stop having the nightmares that we do if we learn how to work with them and how to see them not as an enemy, but as an ally.
Categorically, what is a nightmare? Meaning, and there's the obvious, you're scared out of your everything. But are there other versions of what we would categorize as a nightmare? Just something that's slightly unpleasant, or?
Sure. Yeah. Nightmares run the gamut from slightly anxiety-ridden all the way to those horribly traumatic dreams and recurring in nature. And all of them, I say, they're unsung heroes. They're trying to work something out of our system, and sometimes they get stuck. It's almost like going to a horror movie and leaving 5 minutes before the ending, before the good guy gets to win. So if we can go back into the dream and finish it, even from a waking state, we can complete the dream in our mind as if we were the director of that dream. How would it end if we were in control?
Well,
we're always in control.
That leads to our next question: is how do you turn a nightmare into what you call a right-mare?
I like that.
Exactly. So it seems like it's cheating, but it isn't. There's tons of data from Harvard Medical School, Walter Reed research. This is called imagery rehearsal therapy, IRT. And this is where in your waking state, because most of us are not going to be lucid dreamers as much as we might watch movies like The Matrix and Inception, but most of us aren't. But in our waking state, we remember what happened, and as horrible as it is, we imagine either in a journal, or we can draw pictures, or even just talk it out loud. If we were in control and we knew that anything was possible, what would it take in this dream scenario for us to come out on top and to feel victorious? Do we need to shrink the nemesis to the size of a pea and we become as big as the Empire State Building? Or do we develop a superpower? Or do we bring in our superhero friends and we suddenly learn to fly over this? So we can learn how to overcome the situation in our waking life. And literally, we're connecting new synapses in the brain when we imagine this new scenario. And often that will change the nightmare.
Kelly, walk us through. You have a term called Ogle, the Ogle Method. What makes that such a special method, and why is it so beneficial?
Well, some of us in a nightmare or in our waking lives, we feel like we're the victims of somebody bigger than us that's watching us, that's going to get us. So we turn the table. We're going to be the ogler. We're the ones that are looking with a penetrating gaze. And one way to not transform is to not really look at it, whatever the situation is that's bothering us in a nightmare or in our waking lives. So OGLE stands for what we do whenever we are faced with a nightmare at night or a waking life nightmare. The first thing, we give ourselves permission to be in what is offensive about this situation. How does this hurt me? How does this scare me? How does this worry me? And then once we get all of that out of our system, we move to the G. We we have to look and pretend that we're like a detective. We're looking for what could be good about this. Might there be a growth opportunity here? Might I be in the midst of learning something new? Or how am I developing compassion? The only way we develop compassion is to go through difficult times. And compassion is one of the greatest gifts. Once we do that, we go into the looking glass. From a dream perspective, we look at every dream, every character, everything as if they were an aspect of ourselves. And if we can do that in a dream, we can do that in our waking dream as well. How is this offensive behavior something I have done in the past? Or how might I do that if I walk 20 miles in that person's shoes or stilettos or whatever? And then the E, once we know all that, we go to how can I elevate my situation, even if it's just taking one tiny micro step, getting up 5 minutes earlier in the morning, making amends to somebody that you did something wrong to. How do you correct it? So that's Ogle.
All right.
Ogle.
Well, I now have a totally new perspective on my nightmares and dreams and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
all that stuff.
I'm looking up at them instead of looking or looking away from them.
Right, we go towards them, and it's proven that people can go through very, very difficult things, and it will typically take between 3 to 5 years to overcome a tragic situation. But if you engage in it, you can quicken it to a couple of months, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I even say in a few sessions, even in an hour, if you really dive in and really want to have that transformation. And some people have what's called PTSD. We all know what that is, post-traumatic stress disorder. But many of us don't know about PTG. This is post-traumatic growth. We can actually come through a difficult situation smarter, better, more compassionate than we were when we went in.
Like it.
Kelly Sullivan Walden, thank you so much. We
Thanks so much.
appreciate
Thank you so much. It's so great to be with you too. Thank you.
There's the book, A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste. Go get it wherever you get your books.
All right.